Here are two men. Same age, same city, same haircut. One has a single dollar in his pocket. The other has 1 million. Now erase the money. Look only at what's left. The same heart, beating about 70 times a minute. The same lungs. The same 24 hours until tomorrow. Science can measure almost everything about these two men. And what it actually finds is stranger than anything you'd guess. Because the million changes some things enormously, more than most people admit, and other things it cannot touch at all. So today, one honest question. What is the real difference between a man with $1 and a man with 1 million? This matters because we quietly rank human beings by these numbers every single day. Who gets respect? Who gets patience? Who gets believed? Often decided by a number nobody can even see. And most of us carry two beliefs at once. Money changes everything and money changes nothing. Both feel true. The real answer sits in the middle, and it's been measured in hospitals, in labs, in 85 years of one famous study. Let's start with the thing both men wake up inside every morning. The body. The body doesn't know your bank balance. Bread gives the millionaire the same calories. Water tastes exactly as good to the man with $1, maybe better if he's thirstier. Sleep can't be upgraded to first class. 8 hours is 8 hours, and no one can pay someone to sleep for them. And the clock is famously fair. 24 hours each. The million buys 0 extra minutes per day. So the bodies are equal. No. And here's where honesty matters more than a nice story. In 2016, researchers studied 1.5 billion tax and health records in the United States. The richest 1% of men live, on average, about 15 years longer than the poorest 1%. 15 years. That is the largest, hardest difference money makes. Not happiness. Time alive. Why? Not magic medicine. Safety. Less dangerous work, safer streets, better food, regular checkups, and above all, less constant stress. Because a body that is always braced for an emergency ages faster. Blood pressure, heart, immune system, worry is not just a feeling. It's a workload. So the first honest answer, the two bodies are built the same, but one is living in armor and one is living exposed. The million doesn't make a man more alive. It makes his life less interruptible. Hold that word, interruptible, because it explains almost everything else money does, including what it does inside the mind. And that has actually been measured too. In 2013, two researchers, an economist and a psychologist, measured what being short on money does to thinking. Not to character, to raw mental capacity. They found that financial worry occupies the mind like a second job. The effect was equal to losing about 13 IQ points or a full night of sleep. Same person, same brain. Give them breathing room and the thinking comes back. The poverty wasn't in the man. It was in the situation. The man with $1 is not worse at thinking. He is doing invisible math all day. Rent minus food minus bus fare. That math costs brain power. The millionaire's mind is quiet in exactly the places the other man's mind is loud. That's the second real purchase. Silence. Money buys the off switch for the alarm that poverty keeps ringing. It also buys options. $1 gives you one path. 1 million gives you 10,000 paths, which job, which city, which no you can afford to say. And it buys other people's hours. The millionaire pays someone to clean, to drive, to wait in line. He is quietly buying back pieces of his day. Add it up, and money's real product isn't gold or luxury. It is protection from bad luck. A flat tire, a sick child, a broken tooth. For one man, an inconvenience. For the other, a catastrophe that can knock down every domino behind it. So yes, anyone who says money doesn't matter has probably never been down to their last dollar. But now comes the twist. Because scientists also followed money up into the millions. And somewhere on the way up, something strange happens. In 2010, a Nobel Prize winner and his colleagues studied 500,000 people. Day-to-day emotional well-being rose with income, and then, around a comfortable middle-class level, it mostly stopped rising. Later studies pushed the line higher. Happiness does keep creeping up. But each new dollar buys less feeling than the one before it. The jump from $1 to 1,000 can change a life. The jump from 1 million to 2 million barely moves the needle of a single morning. Why? Your mind has a thermostat. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. Whatever becomes normal becomes invisible. In 1978, researchers compared people who had come into sudden, enormous fortunes with people recovering from terrible accidents. Months later, the winners were barely happier than anyone else, and they enjoyed ordinary pleasures less. Breakfast, a walk, a joke, all slightly duller next to the memory of the jackpot moment. The new house becomes just the house. The car becomes the thing that needs parking. The mind resets to zero and asks, what's next? Meanwhile, the man with $1 experiences something the millionaire has lost. Intensity. A warm meal after a hard day can be a feast. This is not romantic poverty. Poverty is brutal, and we just saw the 15 lost years. But it is a real measurement. Money raises the floor of a life much more than it raises the ceiling. Money is spectacular at removing misery. It is surprisingly weak at manufacturing joy. Those are two different jobs. And there's a darker finding still. Because scientists didn't just ask what money does for you. They asked what it does to you. Researchers in California stood at crosswalks and simply watched. Drivers of the cheapest cars stopped for pedestrians almost every time. Drivers of the most expensive cars were roughly 3 times more likely to cut people off at the crosswalk and at four-way stops. In the lab, it got stranger. In one famous experiment, players were given a rigged board game. One player started with twice the money and got extra turns. Pure luck. Within minutes, the lucky players changed. They talked louder. They celebrated more. And when asked afterward why they won, they explained their strategy, their skill. The rigged advantage vanished from the story. That may be money's quietest trick. It whispers, you earned all of this, even the luck. And generosity? Study after study finds that lower-income people tend to give away a larger share of what they have than the wealthy. Not because they are better people, but because they can see need up close. Neighbors helping neighbors because they know exactly how that night feels. Wealth adds distance. Gates, glass, private everything. And empathy is hard to feel at a distance. But here's the hopeful part. None of this is permanent. In the same labs, when wealthy participants were simply shown a short film about need, their generosity snapped back to normal. Money doesn't remove humanity. It just turns the volume down, and attention turns it back up. One more proof that humans are not calculators. In experiments run around the world, people regularly refuse free money if the split feels insulting. We will pay to punish unfairness. Somewhere deep in us, dignity is worth more than dollars. In every country tested. Now flip the question. Instead of asking what's different, ask what stays exactly the same, at $1 and at 1 million. A laugh. Nobody has ever bought a funnier version of laughing with an old friend. Grief. When the phone call comes, both men go to the same floor. There is no first-class section in loss. Love, the real kind. A child runs to the door for the man, not for the number. And the child cannot be outsourced or automated. Toothache hurts the same. Cold water on a hot day is perfect for both. A sunset costs each of them exactly nothing. And trust, the feeling that someone would stay even if the money left, is the one luxury the millionaire can never be fully sure he owns. Which brings us to the longest study of human life ever conducted. In 1938, Harvard began following hundreds of men and never stopped. 85 years and counting. They track salaries, careers, marriages, blood tests, brain scans, 3 generations of lives, from mailrooms to mansions. And when the researchers were finally asked what makes people healthy and happy in the long run, the answer wasn't money. And it wasn't fame. It was warm relationships. Full stop. The people most connected to family, friends, and community were the healthiest and the happiest, richer or poorer. Good relationships even predicted physical health better than cholesterol levels did. Loneliness, meanwhile, damaged bodies like a chronic illness. In other words, past a certain point, the millionaire and the $1 man are competing in the same tournament, and the scoreboard counts people, not dollars. Which makes you wonder what the richest people in history figured out. So let's check. The richest human being in recorded history was probably a 14th century West African emperor named Musa. His kingdom sat on gold mines. When he traveled across the desert, His caravan gave away and spent so much gold in the cities he passed that the price of gold itself crashed. For years, one man's pocket money broke a metal's value across an entire region. That is a level of rich no billionaire today can touch. 6 centuries later, Andrew Carnegie, once the richest man in America. Steel, railroads, more money than some countries. Then he spent his last decades giving it away, about 90% of everything, building more than 2,500 public libraries around the world. His written reason still stings. The man who dies rich, dies disgraced. Notice the pattern. The people who climbed to the very top of the money mountain looked around and pointed back down at the same things. People, purpose, giving. It's the oldest folk saying on earth, and every language has a version of it. The last shirt has no pockets. So, what is the real difference between a man with $1 and a man with 1 million? The honest answer, the difference is real and it is mostly protection. 15 safer years. Quieter mind. 10,000 options. A wall against bad luck. Nobody should pretend that's nothing. But it is a difference in circumstances, not in humanity. The heartbeat, the laugh, the grief, the need for one person who truly knows you. Identical. Money is a tool that changes what a man can do. It has never once changed what a man is worth. And both men leave the same way they arrived, with empty hands. Everything in between was never about keeping. Maybe that's the final measurement. The man with $1 and the man with 1 million are both exactly one heartbeat away from needing something money has never been able to buy. So here's my question for you. If your bank account disappeared tonight, every cent, what would still be left of you tomorrow morning? Because whatever your answer is, that is what you actually own. Tell me below. And if this flipped how you see the number in your pocket, share it with someone who needs to hear it today.